So everywhere you look, animal body parts on top of food. My name's Joey Armstrong, but my internet name is Joey Carbstrong, and I'm a social media personality who's also an animal liberation activist. Veganism for me is living a lifestyle which excludes, as far as you practically can, the use and abuse of animals. There's a common misconception that people think it's about diet. The benefits are less heart disease, less cancer, less diabetes, better for the environment, but that shouldn't be the reason we go vegan. Animals are not willing participants in any of this. They're being chopped up into pieces and served to us as consumers. What I want consumers to understand is that they are the most key player. Without their money, these industries do not exist. This is my life's work. I don't think I'll be doing anything else until this is abolished completely. A dead bird, minced up body parts.
Australian-born Joey Armstrong is the leader of a rising global vegan activist movement. He and his partner Laura are full-time agitators with thousands of supporters.
I can reach millions of people with one click, and that has happened. Some of my videos have reached 10 million people. I only have 2 weeks to do this, so not much time.
Fighting for their beliefs is a full-time job, and they're funded by the global vegan community. For them, meat is not only murder. They say industry practices are rape, murder, and genocide.
You don't get no lies from me, you don't get no beating around the bush. I just say it exactly how it is, and that can shock people at times. Dairy cows are sexually violated. They're forcibly impregnated. Now, for the victim, it's rape. To take someone's life against their will is murder. People like to play word games. Oh, it's not really murder. Well, what is it? Let me show you a picture of what it is, and you can determine whether you think it's moral or not.
Joey and Laura fly around the world to arrange demonstrations. They're convinced if people knew what happened in abattoirs, they would give up meat and dairy.
Amazing, good to see you all out here. So the conversations you have with people, they might not seem like they're influenced at the start, but you don't know what they go home and think about.
Today, they're in a public square in Manchester, trying to shock people with their footage.
Do you know what this is about? Or?
Well, I've not.
So this is called a cube of truth. These are possibly the animals you've eaten in the past.
Just chop their heads off.
UK farms and abattoirs. So you can see what's happening in your local area.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but everybody's different.
Yeah, they are. But let's just say those chickens, they were allowed to roam free, but then they got strung upside down and fed to people. Do you think that would make it better? This is the fastest growing movement of justice on earth. They don't want to die. Yeah.
Not only is the movement growing, it's also becoming what some describe as militant. And farmers are finding themselves in the vegan firing line.
Thank you so much for coming and speaking up for the animals. They need all the help they can get. Thank you. Amazing. We'll see you all later on.
I'm the third member of the family to become a dairy farmer. So my grandfather was a dairy farmer, my father was as well, still is. And we've been farming for around 80 years at Fen Farm Dairy.
You got to be slightly crazy to get up at 4 in the morning in the pitch black during the winter months. Morning, ladies.
Countless sunrises, the familiar cool bite in the air. Johnny Crickmore's up before the sun every day of the week. He says people like him are the UK's lifeblood.
Farmers, we're the people who feed the world. We're the people who have to get up and face all elements in the mornings and work on Christmas Day when everyone else is having the day off. The farm is something, it is very special to me, and the work that I've put into that place in my lifetime, and you know, I hope that one day that what I've done can be passed down to our children.
The Crickmores are a young farming family scraping a living off their land, making cheese, butter and milk.
I've got to head back about 3 o'clock.
Okay.
But a photo put the Crickmores in the epicentre of the battle.
Well, it all started with, we put a picture of our first set of triplets in our history, and we put it on social media, and to begin with that was great. We had nice comments sent back. And then all of a sudden, somehow it got onto some like vegan extremist group, and they were just putting really like cruel and horrible comments.
The attacks were fierce. They centre around the common practice of separating young calves from their mothers.
With the first day the calf is born, the calf is taken away from the mother within a few hours, but the calf then, he doesn't go and be tortured in some pen. He goes to live with his mates in a pen like all of these fellas are, where, you know, they look after one another, and we go round and they look at us as their mother.
The photo sparked accusations the Crickmores never imagined would be aimed at them.
We had messages from people saying, we hope you die of cancer, we hope that that you get trampled by a cow. It was endless, it went on and on.
Words such as murderers and rapists and, you know, enslaving your cattle and your cows, and how would you like it if we took your children away?
Are you separating families on your farm?
Well, we're separating a calf from a cow. That's not really a family. The word family is, you know, is probably what we look at as humans, you know, mother and father and the children.
Then the war hit mainstream media.
Some farmers, though, say they feel threatened by what they call militant vegans who've sent them death threats, stormed their farms and are making their lives hell. So we're joined...
The Crickmores went on National Breakfast TV to defend their farming methods, while Joey defended hardline vegan beliefs.
There are 3 words that are consistent in a lot of these comments from vegan activists. Rape, murder and slavery, okay?
What happens to your cows?
Would you mind if I finish?
What happens to your cows when they cannot produce milk anymore for you?
Would you mind if I finish this sentence? I'm very, very happy to address.
Tell me about that television appearance.
I didn't know much about Joey, you know, until we sat with him on the couch.
On that ITV appearance, the terminology being used is not only very inaccurate, completely incorrect in a lot of cases, it's very inflammatory, bordering on hate speech a lot of the time, and I think this is a conversation that we should always be having, but it should be a conversation and it should be based on fact.
I think any negative reactions the Crickmores got was because of the fact that they posted a picture of calves. I think it's a truly sadistic thing to post pictures of, you know, baby animals that will be kidnapped from their mother. Their mother will be killed at the end of the line.
So who is this Aussie guy leading the vegan movement?
I grew up in the northern suburbs of South Australia. I had quite a rough few years. I was hanging around with gangs, I was experimenting with substances. This snowballed into something more serious, and one night I got caught carrying a firearm. It landed me in prison. While in prison, I had an awakening. I wanted to give back. When I became aware of what was happening to animals, I felt like they needed my help the most.
What about those that say your methods are too extreme?
I get a lot of people saying that vegan activists' methods are too extreme, but from a vegan activist's point of view, there's nothing more extreme than dragging an innocent animal to the kill floor and slashing their throat open against their will. Photos of the animals, we take their images out.
As well as reaching out to the public, he also leads what he calls vigils.
Hello everyone. Anyone's first save today? Wow, there's nearly half of you.
He uses social media to invite like-minded vegans to come together. The activists turn up to offer comfort to pigs arriving at the abattoir. They film everything to post to their online followers. Joey's fame, growing support, and income comes from these upsetting videos.
We need everyone together to show that we are a growing movement. More vegans? No? They said I love bacon? That happens a lot.
After hours waiting in the freezing cold, the trucks start to arrive. And the protesters aim a dozen cameras towards the pigs.
It's all right, sweetie. Hey, it's okay.
As each truck pulls up to the slaughterhouse gate, the activists try to soothe the pigs.
This is the bacon that you're eating. This is the sausages that you're eating.
We just wish that anybody who eats animal flesh will come and look the animals in the eyes and witness this for themselves. People, sorry, there's another truck now.
Joey and Laura also walk around the back, and as they approach the abattoir, the sound of pigs squealing gets louder and louder.
As you can hear, we're getting closer to where the gas chambers are. So you can hear the machinery going, and the pigs thrash and scream in their last moments. Listen to that.
Joey knows it's confronting moments like this that make the best social media content.
The word Holocaust means destruction or slaughter on a mass scale. And if this isn't a Holocaust, what is it? They're begging for mercy in there and no one's listening. Vegans are listening though.
There's still debate about whether animals scream in fear and pain at abattoirs, but it's a sound that helps Joey recruit his army of vegan activists. The meat and dairy industry thinks this sort of activist reportage is distorting the truth.
People can and do break into facilities. They take undercover footage of poor practice and then say that that is, industry norm.
Australia is the world's largest exporter of red meat. Patrick says it's easy for vegans like Joey to ignore the benefits of an $18 billion industry.
He doesn't have to care about anybody but himself. He doesn't care about working families. He doesn't care about working Australians. He doesn't care about anybody else but himself and the outcome that he's looking for. Period.
Patrick's watched as vegan extremists have intimidated everyone from farmers to abattoir workers to butchers.
Being harassed by individuals within these organisations.
Hi Patrick, how you doing mate? Nice to see you.
You too. How's business been going?
Yeah, business is going really well.
Facebook posts about threatening to firebomb butcher shops right through to chaining themselves to the gates of processing facilities.
Whilst the ethics of meat is a personal question, the Food and Agriculture Wing of the United Nations considers livestock farming a major threat to the environment. Globally, animal agriculture is responsible for roughly 18% of greenhouse gas emissions and 80% of the world's deforestation. More than 56 billion farm animals are slaughtered globally each year, and that number is expected to rise as human population booms. The UN wants the world to eat less meat and dairy to help ease both food shortages and climate change. Here are two solutions which could be coming to a plate near you. One of the biggest scientific developments is cultured meat. Over a real steak, Peter Verstraete tells me about his company's ethical and sustainable solution. Would you say this question of meat is one of the biggest questions of our time?
Yes, I would. Meat production is turning out to be a pretty big problem for this planet, and we should not let anybody fool us. We don't need meat.
Can you do the honours and lift the lid on your creation?
Cultured meat is, well, it's meat made from the same cells that make the muscles of the animals that we eat, only grown in a bioreactor, with the use of tissue engineering. And it differs from meat substitutes in that it is meat.
It's been 5 years since Mosa Meat unveiled its product on television, and it's still not ready for the market. Growing meat fibre by fibre takes a lot of time and money, but they have an unlikely ally.
Vegans and vegetarians are generally very positive about what we do. Actually, to a point where the first group of investors in our company are a syndicate of animal welfare-driven investors. So they really put their money where their mouth is, you might say.
Another alternative way to get protein could be edible insects. They're healthy and are commercially farmed here in suburban London by Lawrence Mohan and his family. Some they sell to restaurants around the UK, and some they eat.
This is what dinner could look like in 2025 for all of us here.
Yeah. Here we've got the Zophoba morios, which are like super mealworms. They're really massive. They're a lot bigger, and they need a lot more food. So it doesn't look like there are many here, but...
Tiziana is Lawrence's mum. Originally from Italy, she's been developing recipes using insects which she says are as delicious as the meat versions.
So what's actually on the menu today?
Okay, today as a starter we're going to have bruschetta with mealworms, as well as some fritters with seaweed, and the Zophoba mealworms wrapped in pastry. And for main, we're going to have tagliatelle made with the cricket flour.
Wow, so everything on the menu today is going to have some sort of insect from the backyard in it, yeah?
Absolutely. Right,
wow.
So hungry now.
Wow, yeah, look at this. And this cake is amazing with the rice bubble chocolate worm topping as well. Amazing. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
So, is the meat industry as it is now sustainable?
I don't think it is. The amount of land that is used for pasture, destroying a natural habitat for wildlife is astounding. And also, of course, cattle use almost twice the amount of water to produce the same amount of protein.
Many non-Western countries already include insects and worms in their diets. But will Australians swap their steaks for protein-packed worm cake?
Look at that. So we've got worms in the flour and worms on the top chocolate bit too.
Yep.
Cheers, thanks.
Cheers.
Oh, you nailed it.
Before leaving the UK, I meet up with an expert who's been observing health and diet trends for decades, Dr. Michael Mosley. Veganism is definitely growing, from outspoken celebrities to millennials.
As I understand it, a lot of the growth in veganism comes from people under the age of 35. Clearly social media plays a huge part in it, Instagram, things like that. And I think the vegan society are just being much more imaginative about how they go about it.
By some estimates, veganism has gone up 350% over the last decade in the UK. And Australia is the third fastest growing vegan market in the world.
I came from a sort of, traditional middle class English family, and so we would have had meat most meals, most days. And certainly then people who are vegetarians I'm not sure we'd even heard of vegans, but they were regarded as sort of slightly cranky. The image was people wearing sandals and alternative lifestyle, living in communes. That's kind of what a vegetarian vegan was. And I think that image has changed drastically over the last few years.
Michael, should we be vegan?
I think there's no doubt that being vegan or vegetarian is a more ethical option, in the sense that, it's very hard to justify eating other animals. Whether I will ever become vegan is another matter.
This is my little friend Julian.
The strategy of vegan activists like Joey is to continue to shock people out of old habits and guilt them to change.
So they're essentially children when we kill them. Yeah.
That's horrible.
It's not working on Michael, but he can see why it works on others.
So a lot of this language that's being used is quite violent. Murder, rape, family separation. What do you think of that?
Well, it's obviously deliberate, isn't it? It's there to evoke emotions. It's there to get your base all stirred up and angry. I think it is unfortunate. I absolutely understand it. And it is a tactic that has been used throughout history by propagandists who want to get their message across.
Always have info and resources on
Joey
you.
continues to mobilise and train his army of vegan activists.
That's what AV is. I mean, we're on the streets, we're showing some pretty hectic animal cruelty in farms. We're showing, horrific scenes from inside slaughterhouses. And if anyone here has gone vegan because of slaughterhouse footage, you know how profound of effect it can have on you. These images don't leave you.
And back on the farm with Johnny, life goes on, despite the vegan fallout.
Do you worry about the future of your farm?
No, not really. Because I feel like as dairy and beef goes, that we're in a position where we're leading the direction of the industry. We are eating animals at the end of the day, and that's something that we've done for millions of years. It's one of the things which I've never, despite loving my animals and looking after them, I've never forgotten that these animals will be slaughtered and they'll go off to be eaten. And that's always been part of, what we do. And that's just how the world turns.